So how do we start? First of all, we will go into a basic part of Excel, trying to know what Excel is, what you can use it for, why was it developed. Now you can see that Excel is just an arithmetic sheet. It's an application developed by Microsoft that has different cells, and each cell has an address. For example, I go into Excel now. Let's open an Excel sheet. Let me explain. So here now you have different cells, and each of these cells has an address. Like if I click here now, the address of this cell will be indicating here. So it is G8. So each cell in Excel, no matter how far it is, has an address, and it uses that address to reference information. It uses the address to reference and process information. And each of these address or cell can, accept both numeric and alphabetic units or characters. So for example, you can have both A and 3 inside, and you can also have special characters. For example, you can have a question sign, you can have a dollar inside there, you can have all the special characters you want to have inside the cell. So, but the cell is an address in the Excel application that can accept information in form of numeric, alphabetic, non-numeric, and special character. Okay, so but today we are not going to dwell on basic Excel. We are going to go into advanced Excel. But before we go into advanced Excel, we are going to look at some few things we need to know even in the basic Excel. And what are these things we are talking about? For example, you need to know how to password sheets, structures, and cells. I will tell you the reason why you need to know that, how to hide sheets, tabs, and formulas, how to hide view components, how to whiten out data, and then conditional formatting, data validation, and how to do text to column. All these are actually basic Excel skills. But let's see how it will be useful, because as we progress, we need these skills to be able to go into the higher classes where we'll be doing macros, where we'll be doing VBAs, we'll be doing advanced Excel. So let's see how to password sheet, structures, and cell. Please pay attention. Now, let's assume we have this. Let's start with how to password cells. You have this data here, and this is financial data. And in this data, you want to protect certain information. You don't want the information to change. For example, you want to protect the figures, and then you want to protect the dates. You don't want them to change. How do you do that? First of all, you have to select. Look at where I'm clicking. You have to select all the sheets. You go in between 1 and A, the last item there that you can click, the last point there you can click, you tap it and you select everything, and then you go to home, you select format, and you unlock. So if it is a cell that has not been protected, it's like this have been protected, you can do it again, and then you unlock everything. You say home, format, lock, format, unlock. Why are you doing this? Because you want every other cell to be free before you start formatting the cell, before you start protecting the cell. You don't want to, protect a cell that, or unprotect a cell that has been protected, or protect a cell that has been unprotected. So there may be cells in the sheet that already have a protection, or there's a default protection. So by doing that, what we call a traditional cell locking activity, you are trying to unprotect any cell that has already been protected, so that you know the cells you are protecting. So I show you again what to do. You go to the last point here and you select all, go to home, and then you click format. You go to this locked cell. The locked cell is highlighted, means that there are cells that are locked. If it's not highlighted, then it's free. But normally the routine is, even if it's highlighted or not, just click it and go back again and then unbox it. And then now you can now do your cell locking. So you want to lock here, so you just select all the places you want to lock. You can actually select all the places you want to lock like this. So if you want to select both at the same time, you press your control and then you drag like this. So all these selected parts are going to be locked now. So how do we lock it? Go back to your home, go back to your format, and then you lock the cells. Hmm? So, but the cells will not be locked until you have put in a password. So you go in and put the password, you go to review, and then you say protect, and you put in the password, right? Simple. So when you come back now, you will not be able to delete. You will not be able to delete those cells that have been locked. But you can delete this one, you can delete this one, and delete any of this, but you cannot delete. So also in protection, what again, you can protect the sheets, right? We've shown you how to do that. To protect sheet, just go to review and say protect sheet and put in the password you can remember. To unprotect, you always put in the password and you unprotect. So what again do you know? How do you protect the structure, and why do you need to protect the structure? Now, to protect the structure of a sheet is very important. Let me show you the reason why. Let's assume you have different sheets like this and you don't want anybody to alter the structure. When we talk about structure, what we mean is that you don't want anyone to change the name. Like for example, now you can change the name of this sheet. And you don't want anyone to move the sheet from one place to the other. The way I've moved this now, you see I've moved vendor and LPU and I've moved them back. When you protect a structure, nobody can do that. So let's see how you protect structure. Simple, you go to File, and then you go to Information, and then you go to Protect Workbook, and then you see Structure there. Then you put in the password. 1234, enter. 1234, enter. When you protect structure, you see that that particular sheet cannot be moved. You see, we can't move it again. You can't move any of the sheets. So the structure of the work is protected. You cannot move the sheets the way you move when it was not protected. And you cannot even change the name, cannot rename it. Why is this important? Because when we are doing macros pay, for example, let me show you something. If I want to say this is a macro sheet, I can navigate right from here to here. But for you to navigate, for example, you want to navigate to create voucher. It takes you to create voucher, the macros formula. But when you change the name from form to something else, it will not operate. It will not go to that create voucher. So if you don't protect the sheet and somebody owns it and is able to change the name of this form, even when you click the button, it will not come in here. That's why protecting structure is very important. Now, when you protect structure, you can hide database. Let's say, for example, now let me unprotect this structure. Go to information, click here, and I'll say protect structure and put in the password, right? So if I decide to hide this, and I say hide, right? I can always see it. If I say on hide, okay, I said hide. Let me unhide, unhide, right? I can see the things I want to unhide, right? Check account code. I can see the things I want to unhide. When I protect the structure, I cannot see those things. So with that, you can permanently hide sheets that are very important to you by protecting the structure of the workbook. By protecting the structure of the work, you can hide the sheet. So now you can see, you cannot see the hidden sheet because you do not have the password. So that is how to protect structure. What else did we say we want to look at in basic Excel? Passwording sheets. So how do we password the entire work so that when the work comes to you, you can only use a password to open it. That is also simple. Open the work like this. To password it, you go to File and still go to Information, and then you say Protect Workbook, and you now say Encrypt with Password. You encrypt with password 1234, and then you close 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, right? So with this now, if I close this sheet is titled Book 3. If I try to save it, if I try to open Book 3 now, if I try to open 3 to ask me for a password, you see? So I put the password. All right, so let's move forward with our class. Remember, if you have any question, feel free to send it on the WhatsApp group of this training. Then, how do you hide in sheets, tabs, and formula? How to hide sheets, tabs, and formula. That's what next we want to look at. How do you hide sheets, tabs, and formula? What do we call tabs? I've already shown you how to hide sheets. Hiding sheets are very simple. If, for example, you have a sheet like this, let's assume we protect the structure so that we'll be able to do what we want to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It was unprotected already. So if you want to hide, simple, you just hide. Right click and then you hide. And then you unhide. Sheet 1, right? Now, if you want to hide, what again do you still want to do there? Hiding tabs. How do you hide tabs? Very important. Let's say, for example, now you have this Excel, advanced Excel, macros, and VBasic document you have developed, and you want this document to be a single document, to look like an application in a phone or in anything. So it will not have all these sheets here. To not have all these sheets. You want it to look like only one sheet, and then you can use the buttons to navigate and go to wherever you want to go, right? So how do we do that? First of all, you go to the sheet that is the opening sheet, and then you go to File, and then you go to Option. In Option, you go to Advanced, and then you look for the Tab button, and you untick it. You see, Show Sheet Tabs, and then you untick it, and you say OK. Then it now becomes one sheet. But before you do this, you must be able to create a macros commands that you can use tab to go to other sheets. For example, now if I want to go to, let's say I want to go to financial report, I just click this. I want to go to trial balance, I click this. I want to go back to financial report because I've created the tabs in macros that can help me to do that. So that is how to hide tabs, right? Now, how do you hide formula? You have formula inside the sheet and you want to hide them. Let's say, for example, now, if you look at this thing, you have a lot of formulas here. Let me bring in something else, like this database, right? You can see these formulas. Look at them. The if formulas, they are all in here. In fact, some of them have a lot of if formulas. But then, if you created this and you want it to be used in organization, you don't want people to see the formula so that they do not tamper and with the formula, and then the functions will not work perfectly. You want to hide the formulas. All you need to do, I'm going to hide the formulas, the whole of this place, right? All I need to do is number 1, to select the ones I want to hide, right? And then I'll go to Home, I'll click Formula, and then I'll click Format. I'll say Protect, then I'll say Hide those ones, right? When I say Hide, then I will now put in a password. If I put in a password there, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the sheet, 1, 2, 3, 4, then automatically the formulas are hidden. You see, you can't see them here again. You cannot see those formulas in the formula bar, right? You can actually hide the whole sheet. You just to select all and hide the whole sheet. Let me say, for example, now I'm going to unhide certain sheets so that you can see the formula for certain sheets. Go back to Review, Unprotect 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Then I will now say, okay, for these ones, I want to be seeing the formula. Go to Home, Format, Format Cell, Protect, and say Hidden Untick for those ones. Then you go again and lock. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lock the sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that these ones, the formulas are still showing. You can see the formula. When you get to others that have locked the formula, you cannot see the formula. All right, remember to send your questions. We'll do our best to answer them. The next thing is hiding view components. How do you hide view component? Very good. It's also a basic Excel skill. You want to hide view component. What do you mean by view component? You can see that in this Excel sheet, you can see 1 to 3. You can see the column cells, and you can also see the row cells. You can see A, B, C, and you can see blah, blah. Or you can decide to hide all this by just going to view. You go to view, and then you remove the grid lines, the formula, the headings, and then you have something like this. Right? Clean. And then you cannot see any of the cells showing up. That's what we mean by what we have said. Use the view. When you tick all of them now, they will show up like this. All right, the next thing now is whitening up data. Why is whitening up out data important? So my time there are some data you cannot hide because the database needs to be visible. For example, in macros, there are some databases you cannot hide. There will have to be a sheet that will be open. You cannot hide, like for example, you right click here and say hide. If you hide it, it will not pick that information. It will not see that sheet to migrate to that sheet and do. But yet, you don't want people to tamper with that sheet. You don't want even people to see what is in that sheet. You white out the sheet. It's just simple. You select everything on the sheet, and then you go to, and then you choose white here, and then you choose white, right? And then you can decide to remove all the borders, right? You say no border. You have wiped out everything. There are information there, but nobody can see them. So if you now protect them, nobody can see those information. You can also do what we call cell protection, formula protection, and then nobody will see that there's anything in that cell. That is what we mean by whiting out the cells. All right, the next one here is conditional formatting. So conditional formatting is used to give character or color to a particular thing in a cell. Very, very important. You can do conditional formatting for words. You can do conditional formatting for numbers. Let's say, for example, you want to tell the application that whenever it sees a particular word, it should change the color of that cell. That is a conditional formatting. Let's say, for example, now you take this, you go to home, you want to tell it that whenever I see the word payment, then it should turn to green, right? So, but whenever it sees the word income, it can turn to blue. So what do we do? Let's do that here. We say home, and then we go to conditional formatting, highlight cells, and then you come over here. You look for text contain, right? You say if the text has the word payment, then what do? Turn to blue. You can consume it by coming here and say, okay, it should not be automatic. It should turn to blue or green. Let's assume green, right? Turn to green. Why the words itself? Okay, that's the words will turn to green, right? Let's leave the words at black, and then the field will turn to green. So whenever it sees the word uh, payment, it will behave like that. Let's see. Let's do again. Boom. We have here conditional format. We now say text to contain payment. 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 If it has payment, then this is what we want it to do. It should turn green if there is payment in the sheet. Then the font should be black. You see? You can also conditional format the same cell with something. Let's assume, say, if it is income now, you do the same thing. If that cell sees the thing like income, conditional format here, text contain income. If it is income, turn to red red field or yellow field with dark yellow, right? So it will not turn because there is no income. If I come over here and change this payment to income, watch what will happen. You see, it has seen income, it has changed the format. If I go back and put in payment, it changes. So you use conditional format now to change. If I now pick all this and say format pent, and then let's have the same structure, it will do the same thing. Wherever it says income, it turns to a particular color. You see? So with that, you can do a lot of things with this, a lot in Advanced Excel with this. So it's just a knowledge. So Advanced Excel is made up of different pieces of knowledge of Excel put together to form something that is useful. All right. So that is how to conditional format. You can do conditional formatting even for cell. You can even do it for percentage. So I will advise you to learn more of it. For example, now you can tell it that if a number is higher, greater than, you know, 1 million, it should turn to red, right? So and then you paste, you format paint everything here. Anything that is more than 1 million will turn to red. You can at the same time tell him that anything that is lower than 500,000 should turn to blue. That is the same conditional formatting we are talking about. Anything less than, 500,000 should turn to blue, should be green. And then you format paint it, copy it, and you paint it everywhere. When it sees anything lower than 500,000, turns to green. Can you see? That is it. So with this now, you can be able to do a lot of things in data analysis. As we go further into the class, I'm going to show you different ways we can combine these skills. And like I said, if you have any question, please send it on the, if you have any question, send it on the comment section. Send the question on the comment section and we'll answer your question. Okay, the next thing we need to do based on what we have here is data validation. How do we validate data? How do we validate data? So what we mean by data validation is trying to tell a cell that it must take a particular type of character only. It must take a particular type of character only. So you want to tell the cell, look, you can only take a particular type of character and then nothing else. So that's data validation. Let's say, for example, now, I want this cell here to only contain a particular type of information. I'll come over here and go to data, and then I will say data validate, right? I want it to be in list form. Then I will now tell the cell where to pick the information. I can decide to write the information. I can say, okay, choose only things that are A, B, C, D, E as what you use to validate that place. So no other information can enter here except these numbers, this A, B, C, and D. And this skill is very important. If you copy and paste it, it will behave the same way. So you cannot put any other thing in that cell except it is A, B, C, D, and E. For example, I cannot type 2 here, 12 here. It will not accept. I've data validated those cells. And there are different ways you can actually use this particular function. Let's say, for example, you want to data validate. You come over to this and you say data validate and list form. You can select dates. There are different things you can decide to be what will be there. You can even do a costume one. But most common is the list, right? So you can choose where you want the information to come from. Let's say we want only state capital, state of the country to come in. Select all this and we click OK. So in that cell, it's only the states that we've selected that will be coming in, like this, right? Abia, Federal Capital Territory. So that is how to data validate. It helps you to specify the kind of information or data that can be in a cell. All these are at the beginning of good things to come in this training. As we progress in the training, you see how much we'll be using them, and I believe you'll learn more. So for this little video or this little training we're having, the first training, take time to practice these basics, and then you will see in our subsequent classes how this will be very useful. So that's data validation. Then text to column. Text to column is another very important basic Excel tool that you can use to do a lot of things. So what does text to column do? I'm going to show you, for example. You can use text to column to separate a set of data and get one particular data out of it. Look at what I want to do. I'm going to do something now. I can say Abia. I use concatenate, permit me to do this. And then I take Abia, and then I put comma, I put semicolon, semicolon or colon, then comma, put comma itself, and then I'll put a word, good, just put a word. Watch what we are going to achieve with this. So I can just drag it down, then I'll copy all this to another sheet. Let me copy it to another sheet and paste, right? You can see that each of these cells or this information I've pasted here, they have different information. Let's assume that you just want to get out the word Abia and the word Federal Capital. You want to separate them. These words are mixed together. You don't want good to be part of it. They give you data like this and it's mixed up, but you want to get only particular data from it. You want to separate them. You will not have time to start saying, okay, you want to delete like this, and then after that you go down, you delete the next one, you come and remove all the good here, right? Delete the next one. So it will take you time if the data is much. That's when you now have to use the skill of what we call text to column. So if you want to use text to column, first of all, make sure you have enough space by the left-hand side, right? And then you select all the information that you want to do text to column, right? And then you go to data and you say text to column. You click the text to column. Text to column can tell you whether you want to use delimiter. Delimited or what we call delimited method is when you are using a particular character inside the database to separate it, right? Then fixed width is when you want to use a particular width is not very, very effective. So let's use, mostly commonly used is delimited. So the delimited one, you just click next, and then you tell it what you want to use to separate the words inside there. So since it's Abia, Federal Capital Territory, Anambra State, all those the states that we want to separate, we can now use the what is common among them. That is a special character, which is a colon. So you can say colon. If they say semicolon and you don't have semicolon, you can come over here and say others, and then put your own character, which is a colon, right? So with this now, you now say next, and then you say finish. You see what happens? It separates it and gives you the data that you want. Very, very interesting. Gives you the data that you want that you can now use. That is how to use text to column. But all these are just a primary way of using all this stuff. As you go deep into it and you start using them, you see that there are different other ways you can use and you can make your work very, very simple. So, and as you try to do these things, if you have any question, please feel free to send it on the group chat, and then we can answer those questions. Either we answer it personally to you or we answer it to the group. So now we will be moving